for the world today. Now let me explain. You can spend your entire life looking forward to heaven because you'll be with family members and loved ones who you have lost before. And heaven will be this wonderful place where everything is right and good and not complicated. And you approach heaven as the end game. And the end goal of all the hard work you produce while you live here on this earth. And there's really nothing wrong or bad or corrupt with this belief. And it's actually a very wonderful belief and one that I look forward to too. However, I think it's an entirely incomplete view and understanding of heaven. There's more to it than that. Monks spend their entire life looking forward to heaven, while at the same time missing the glimpses of heaven that are right here on this earth as we speak. We would also miss out on the tremendous opportunities to expand upon those glimpses of heaven that we do see. When we think of heaven as something apart from this world, we will never have the chance to create glimpses of heaven out of the depths of hell that are in this world. And this world and its people desperately need us to do this. If we simply view heaven as something just outside of ourselves, and never shall the two, heaven and earth, meet in their present forms, we miss out on a lot of what Jesus stood for and taught. And we miss out on another layer of what our Scripture is trying to speak to us. Our Scripture points out to us that what heaven consists of is a certain newness and an opportunity for a new creation. Hear these words about what a new heaven involves. Death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more. For the first things have passed away. And the one who was seated on the throne said, "See, I am making all things new." Also he said, "Write this, for these words are trustworthy and true." I think why the topic of heaven is so discussed is because there's a newness that heaven embodies in a way that is different than anything else. Heaven is a place where we can start over and be that new creation. There's a strong belief that in heaven, those who have weakened bodies through disease or illness or age will be restored to their former glory, and their crippling bodies will no longer be a burden to them. Also with heaven, there's the mentality that everything will be right and fair and good. All the injustice we have suffered will be no more. And there will be a fairness in this new life. And I think as people, we desire a certain fairness in life, because how often have we said, that's just not fair, and life's not fair? I wonder, what if we took the newness and fairness that is believed to be a part of the heaven above and applied it to this world and this earth, and the heaven that can be possible here right now? I can't help but believe that embodied in the world and its people is the desire, the ability, the urge to become anew, to bring new life, and to create again. In other words, to establish a little bit of heaven here on this earth. We most likely won't use those words, but it's true. When there's a deep need in a community, many people step up to provide for that need. To me, that's establishing a little bit of heaven here on earth. When children are born, most parents and other loved ones do their best to take care of that child, to ensure that he or she will have a bright future, most likely brighter than their own. To me, that's establishing a little bit of heaven here on earth. There seems to be a lot of negativity surrounding school-age kids about how they are different from previous generations. And this is usually said in a negative tone. But when we hear great stories of great teenagers and young people who are standing up against injustice, such as bullying, to to me, that's establishing a little bit of heaven here on earth. I wonder, what other glimpses of heaven do you see in the world around you? They're there. We simply need to open not only our eyes, but open our hearts and our souls to see them. Jesus came and lived and died so that God's heaven and our world would meet in perfect harmony. Jesus came and lived and died so that God's heaven and our world would become one. Jesus came and lived and died so that God's heaven and our world would be so intertwined that you cannot separate the two. We can create glimpses of heaven when we follow the example of Christ in seeking out those who are lost and in pain. We can create small glimpses of heaven when we stand up for an injustice that we see happening. We can create small glimpses of heaven when we seek to live outside of ourselves and our own wants and needs, so that others might have their needs and wants met. Where is God calling you to establish little pockets of heaven here on this earth? And how can the church, following those great and awesome footsteps of Christ, help to create little bits of heaven here on earth? And the whole church said, Amen.